Hi everyone. Welcome to How to Design a Beautiful Green Website. So, often we focus on physical things when we're thinking about design for planet, such as products and buildings. But websites also use a lot of energy. Today we have Nicolas Paries. Let me repeat that. Today we have Nicolas Paries, who is the founder of the digital studio Heylow, who have been pioneers of developing low carbon web design without sacrificing aesthetics. So, Nicolas has had 15 plus years in digital design, and he also helps climate and social impact organizations and businesses succeed online while minimizing their digital footprint. Over to Nicolas to share real life examples to inspire personal designs and identify the key factors that significantly affect a website's environmental impact. Over to you, Nicolas.
Thank you so much for this lovely introduction. I'm really happy to be here. It's really exciting. And so I'm going to talk to you about how you can design a green website, but not only a green website, a beautiful green website. So as you mentioned, I'm the founder of the digital studio Heylow, but also of the directory named Low, where I try to browse the internet and try to find websites that are lightweight, but also really beautiful. It's kind of started as a tool for me to be inspired, but I was thinking it was best just to share it with everyone so designer can also be inspired. So my talk today will be kind of a continuity of the talk from last year, which was also named How to Design a Green Website from Sandra Pallier. It was honestly a great talk, and she's talking a lot about the impact of the internet. So I really encourage you to go to see that talk also later. So she's talking about the fact digital is actually really physical because it's running on huge infrastructure and a lot of devices and use a lot of electricity, which require then mostly fossil fuel still today. And then as a designer, what we can do to reduce the impact of the digital world is to design digital service with eco-design. And the first step is to reduce the quantity of resources we use. And that is, for example, the data on our website. And the second is to try to design products so they can be available also for all devices, so they can extend the lifespan. If you think about it, sometimes you want to change your devices, not because of the hardware, but because the software or a website seems slow. And you think it's about your device and not about the software itself or the website. So we want to try to avoid that. And one of the problems we have with websites these days is like they're getting really heavy and with a lot of data. And if you compare to back in 2008, the median size of a page was 500K kilobytes, and now it's more than 2 megabytes. So it's 4 times more. And if we do like a emission scenario of a website, so I took the Heylow website, I took the average website, and I took a New York Times homepage. And at that time, when I did the calculations, I had an autoplay video. And I did a scenario with 1 million monthly visits. So we don't have that for Heylow for sure, but it's just an example. And the impact on during a year. And we can see the difference between the Heylow, which is a lightweight website, and the New York Times is huge. And the New York Times website in that scenario will emit 4 times more than a citizen in the UK. So 40 tons of CO2 per year. If you want quickly like to check your website emissions, there is great tools, website carbon calculator, EcoGrader, Beacon, and there is also an analytic tools that match your amount of visits, your analytics with the carbon calculation, and it's named Cabin. It's withcabin.com. So how do we manage to reduce the amount of data we have, and how we still manage to have a beautiful website? So the main philosophy we have at Heylow is don't build a sport car if a bike can take where you want to go. You don't need a big infrastructure if like you just have you want to convey a simple message. And you need to design for the planet, but also for its people. So it's about the environmental impact, but also about the accessibility of your website. For the planet means you have to limit the energy consumption of your website with the data transfer, but also the power usage on the device of people, meaning you try to reduce, for example, the processor consumption and the battery consumption of people's devices. And around accessibility is making sure everyone can read the website. So try to meet accessibility standard. A good example is having a good color contrast, but also making sure everyone can access the website. So is the website can be accessed via all devices or via a slow connection. So during the time I built Heylow, so it's been 4 years, I learned a lot how to design low carbon websites. And I kind of build now 10 principles on how to build low carbon web design. These are like kind of main things to do to have a low carbon website. And the first one is not really about design, but it's more philosophy and how you should try to see your work. And it's people and planet over profit. Oh, sorry. Because we are designers, but we are also citizens. Meaning most of our impact lies on the type of work, the project we work on. So the first thing I try to do, and we try to do also at Heylow, is to make sure our work can align with our efforts. It's not easy. It's not something you do overnight. It's a transition. It's kind of a luxury to be able to say no to projects. So make sure like everything is aligned, you can sustain yourself, but just at least try to do that. The second principle is to try to set up a page rate budget. And that means defining the boundaries of your web project. So to do that, you can benchmark all versions of your websites, the audiences, the content, also the competitors. You can try to define the worst connection of your audience. That needs obviously to be aligned with the website's goals. And one good thing to do also is to reassess this budget because a project change. It's not the same when you start and when you finish. So it's always good to reassess this parameter. The third one is one I really like because I love pizza. And so it's keep it as simple as pizza. So I found that like while reading a book called Company of One by Paul Jarvis, and he's saying like, I try many pizza with a lot of toppings and it's quickly gets soggy. So I always come back with the classic pizza, which is cheese, sauce, and dough. And he's making the comparison with a consumer perspective. So if you go to a shop or a website and you have like many parameters everywhere, many products, you're kind of lost and it's not a really good experience. And the opposite, like if you have something simple and clear to understand, then your experience will be better. So he's saying maybe all you need is cheese, sauce, and dough. And so to keep it simple, what you can do is try to go mobile first for the design, because it's really go to the essential because the screen are just smaller. And keeping it simple is good because easy to find content, use freer resources. But that doesn't mean you can talk about a complex subject, and simplicity can lie on the other side of complexity. You can, for example, tell a story really complex, but layer the story. So it's easy to understand and to access it. And finally, simple doesn't mean boring because, and that's the next principle, beauty matters. And that's really at the core of what we're doing at Heylow. Because beauty is part of being human. We've used beauty since we are human to survive in nature, because that means beauty actually means safety and edibility in nature. And good aesthetic in our environment can actually positively impact our well-being, while the opposite can actually really affect our health and our stress level. And making things beautiful make them better. It's been proven that companies with good design, better design, are they have usually a better level of trust and profitability. But most importantly, beauty is actually sustainable because if you think about a good product you really love, like a good piece of clothing, you're gonna care about it. And you're gonna try to keep it as long as possible. So there is less waste. And finally, beauty is actually really efficient, especially in nature. You have patterns in nature and that you can find kind of everywhere. I'm going to show you some images. And they're efficient because, for example, the spiral shape is really good to distribute the resources. It's really good for the structural strength and also the protection. So beauty and efficiency are really complementary in nature. And you can see here the spiral shape repeated in nature there, but also as a galaxy. And there is different patterns you can find in nature. They also have functionality and they are beautiful for us human. Fifth principle is to avoid energy intensive media. So that's probably the one where you're gonna remove like a lot of data of your website. And the first one are videos. So video are the biggest media on the internet, the one using the most of the data. And one video can actually weigh more than all website pages combined. So I have an example here of a website where you have two videos. They weigh around more than 8 megabytes. And the total of the home page is actually 11 megabytes. So if you remove the two video, you go down to around less than 3 megabytes. So just these two videos are like exploding the amount of data of this website. So run video, make sure to see if the problem can be addressed with words first. Also because video are harder for user to scan. They're expensive and slow to produce. They are less search friendly, and they are harder to update. And if you use video, try to ban autoplay video and decorative video. I see many websites with like on the background, on the cover of the website, on the homepage, background with a video, a loop, and that is not really helping the message, and it's using a lot of data. So still, if you use video, try to compress them. You can try to use shorter video as a loop, like really small one, a bit like a GIF, to bring some life on your website if you still want. The other really intensive media are 3D because they create obsolescence and drain battery because it uses a lot of computational power. And they're also not the best for accessibility because people can have difficulties to interact with 3D graphics. I have also another example here of a website that's been awarded best website of the year by a website called FWA. And you can see the amount of data transfer, like so more than 100 megabytes, which is huge, massive. And also I did a screenshot of my CPU consumption. And it went from 6% of usage to 47 while using this website. So it just used a lot of my computer and drained a lot of the battery. And then also try to avoid excessive use of animation. You can use some, but really it's kind of the same issue with 3D. Try to be light on that. So the other big media are images. So they are usually the first data budget on websites. So you also need to be careful with that. And they're also the same as autoplay video, not always useful. If you have images that not related to content, people have the tendency to just skip the images and not looking at it. So it's a waste. You can be creative with images, so you can apply filters. So here you can see a filter named Halfton, reducing the amount of data by 3 times. Just example, it's not compatible with every website or project, but it's just an example of how to be creative. You can use a vector illustrations. And the main tool for me and for us at Heylow is typography. So typography is the single most important design element on a website. It creates identity, can download it once and use it infinitely on the website. It's accessible and it's lightweight. And you can see here an example of website using great typography, and it's just like amazing website, and they are lightweight. And you can also use what we call system fonts. It's fonts already accessible on everyone's devices. So you can just call them, say, oh, I want to use this font that is on your devices. And it's kind of free. It's like you don't use any data when you do that. And they're really good for body text, so paragraph and yeah. 8, so that's when you really start to talk with the developer, trying to reduce waste. So ask them to compress and save the image in the right side. So you don't save the same images on device on a mobile than a desktop because you need smaller images. Try to reduce unnecessary scripts. Implement a cache system. I won't go further on the cache system, but just ask your developer, put a cache system. And try to host with renewable energy. So there is a great directory by the Green Web Foundation where you can have a list of green hosting company. 9, educate and engage with your team and clients, because the website is not done when you finish your work. It's a evolving product. So if you have someone managing the content, and if that person is putting a lot of videos, then it's not good for the impact of your website. So try to raise awareness around the topic and provide guidelines to them and your clients. And finally, really important is progress over perfection, because it's a long distance run. It's not a sprint, and this destination we all want to go is not there, and it's a whole journey, and we have to take care of ourselves, take care of our mental health, and enjoying the ride. So advice I have is like to start small, be consistent, implement new action, one project at a time, and also remind that everyone is learning. It's a really new topic, and we're all in the same boat. So this is the 10 principles we have. So it's kind of a mix of, there is UX, really UI design, a bit of like project management, also kind of ethics around your practice. And it's really the main, what's driving what we're doing at the studio these days. And then we're going to have a triple win. So like there is 3 main benefits of having a low carbon website. It's obviously for the planet, because it's going to put less pressure on the ecosystem. For the people, because you're going to have a better experience by default, because low carbon websites are fast and usually they're also more accessible. And finally, for business, because having a fast website usually improves the conversion rate. It's better for the SEO, and it's usually cheaper to host and easier to maintain. So I have a really, really quick case study. So we did a website for the School of System Change, and we built a visual identity around some elements. So first, using a clear typography, and we had a texture to highlight some part of it. We used some monochrome background and also monochrome graphic assets, all based on natural pattern, because it's School of System Change and I wanted to express systems, so natural systems. And we managed to have a homepage that is less than 1 megabyte. And this website, I believe, looks like a classic website. There is a great balance, and we have small images, those monochrome graphic assets, and yeah. So and you can find many other inspiration in that directory below of like really cool websites that we haven't designed, but they are like really cool and lightweight. Yeah. And okay, I'm going to try to be fast. So yeah, in that field, there is a lot of collaboration because also creativity is about remix. Everything is about remix. And it's even more true in the world of web sustainability. And I couldn't be here today without all these amazing resources from Team Freak, from Tom Greenwood, from World Grand Digital, Gary McGovern, Carl Newport, or Gauthier Rossi, who was doing a lot of study on the digital impact of the digital world. And now there is great news about starting to have standardization. There is a really early stage of trying to have guidelines from a community group from within the World Wide Web Consortium, which is the kind of the organization creating standards for the web. So they did the same with accessibility. So it's great to see that. It's not official yet, but it's amazing to see that happening because we need that to improve the impact of the web in general. And also quickly some resource and more about this thinking behind this design. So the low tech from Julia Watson, it's an amazing book. I really recommend it. And also less is more about from Jason Hickel, which is about degrowth. And some communities, so Climate Action Tech, Creative for Climate. There are really two great ones. And final words, a low carbon website won't save the world, for sure, because the overall impact is minor. I mean, except big websites, but it's the same as a single plastic bag. It's not about one, it's about the cumulative impact of millions that matters. And while we have plastic facing restriction, still like not as much as I would like or we would like, the impact of the internet remain largely hidden and is not regulated. So that's it for me. You can find more information about all of that on the website called Low Carbon Web Design. It's a kind of a 2-hour workshop on this topic. My social media, so on LinkedIn and Mastodon. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it and learn a lot. And thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Nicolas. That was great. It's great to learn about a lot of easy things to do that have a massive impact on the eco-friendliness of the website. I'm going to jump onto the Q&A stream and just see if you've got any questions that have come through. Oh, yes, we've got quite a few. So one question is, are apps better than websites when it comes to the term green website? Do you know if this has been studied? Can you please share your perspective on this?
It depends of like how you build the app, I guess. I would say if you have an advantage of then loading less data when you're loading the app, maybe, but you also have normally disadvantage with the website because if you have a cache system. So normally if you go to a website and you go the next day, you won't load again all the data. Mm-hmm. So it's probably like depending on how you're building the app. I know you can also have website as an app in a way, mm-hmm. and it's apparently been proven to be better. Probably also because of that, it probably creates more cache system, but I'm not 100% sure about that. Okay. But I know some apps are really bad. Like when you're downloading, I don't know, Facebook or Instagram app, it's like so massive. It's like 100 megabytes or even more. I don't know what they put inside, but yeah. So it really depends of the app.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So next question. There's quite a few questions coming in about image compression. So I guess one good one that will summarize it is, how can we improve a portfolio website with lots of images? Just because sometimes it can be quite hard. You want to show like lots of your work, you know, and a lot of it can have a lot of data inside it, but you know, it just means you end up with a really, really heavy website. So yeah, do you have any opinions on that?
Yeah, I mean, we actually redesigned a website recently, so I thought a lot about that, and I totally understand this problematic. I would say first, try to identify really the main images. If you have like to select 3 or 5 images that will like reflect really the project, try to do that. And after, if you have other images, you see if this one are really useful. Uh, I think it would be better to have 3 images in a decent quality or high quality that reflects really well the project, that 10 that you put smaller and in the less good quality. So yeah, it's a hard one. You can also, if you think about the whole journey of someone visiting your website, you can say, okay, then I put maybe less projects, and on those projects I put more images. So instead of having 5 projects with 5 images, then you have 3 with I don't know, 4 images. No, 6 images. So yeah, it's finding the right balance. Try to having the boundaries first, the page weight, and try to work with that. Yeah.
Okay, great. That's some really useful advice. Let's see how we're doing. Okay, we've got 4 minutes left of the chat. Let's try and get a couple more questions in. Okay, one question is, having just walked away from a website project as the client would not consider accessibility or the emissions the site would emit, uh, they wanted as much animations and interactions as possible. How do you talk with them? Yeah, I guess the question is essentially saying, how do you initiate that kind of conversation with your client?
So I think when I was talking about the win-win-win, and the last one, the one about business, I think that's the one where you can have some people on your side saying like, okay, maybe like if you have all this animation, for some people it's going to be slow, hard to interact, then you're going to lose them, then at the end it's going to be less good for the business, like, so yeah. And that was actually for me a really good surprise when I start really diving into that subject. I'm like, oh, this is actually really good for a website and for business. Like, what are we doing? It's just doing better websites in a way. So yeah, that would be my point if I had a client like that. I would say, is it really useful? It's just like to make it fun, or like, I don't know, like shiny, and is it really useful to your business?
Yeah, yeah. And I guess encouraging them to think about, the whole concept of less is more, and actually it's about quality of the stuff you're showing
Yes,
rather than the quantity or the shiny bits.
exactly.
Um, yeah, great. I completely agree. I think we have time for one more. What one? Do you know of a tool that measures the carbon emissions of an app rather than a website?
I think there is one called Frugger. It's, yeah,
Do you know how you spell that?
uh, Fruggr.
Okay,
I think
okay.
it's yeah, it's really for apps. But I'm not building apps, so I'm not an expert on
Mm,
app. So yeah, but I think
okay.
this one is specialized on app.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Okay, I think we'll wrap up there. Thank you so much for your
Welcome.
talk, Nicola.
My pleasure.
That was excellent. Learned a lot of new good
Thank you.
things about designing a beautiful green website. And I
Great.
hope everybody in the audience did too.